This is Stephen K. Bannon. The Victory Session, 7:90 a.m., KBC, Talk Radio, Los Angeles, California. My co-host this week, Dave Barham, partner of VMG Private Equity Fund. We're going to talk about the King of Bain in a little while. And Marco Martinez. Marco, a recipient of the Navy Cross, first Hispanic to be awarded the Navy Cross for valor in combat in Iraq since the Vietnam War. My guest is a frequent guest, co-host, partner, great guy, controversial, Andrew Breitbart. Andrew, we just had Dana Loesch on talking about this controversy. I go to my website last night to the Daily Mail, where I'm always looking for new pictures of Pippa, and I've got Bill Maher and Dana Loesch on the cover, big as life. Tell me, what is this controversy about, and what exactly is happening on this?
First of all, you're looking for nude pictures of Pippa?
No, not nude. Just it's the Daily Mail, not.
Marco, what do you think about your perverted code?
Marco's such a clean-cut guy now. You know, he used to be a gangster. Now he's the all-American boy.
Well, you know, as we enter into talking about this Dana Loesch non-controversy, it's a manufactured controversy. AM radio, FM radio, especially at the local levels, is kind of like, well, blanking into the wind. I hate to use a term that's gotten everybody into trouble, but urinating into the wind. It means nothing. It's just an exhaust system for the American people. Until it is. It's like we live in a hectic time. We have multiple wars going on. We're in debt. And it's sort of like a comedy, to me, a comedy room where I think there should be something akin to no holds barred. We have a First Amendment. What better place to utilize the First Amendment than in a comedy room or in an AM/FM dial to get stuff off of our shoulders? Because
yes,
we live in chaotic and crazy times. But that was well and good. But hold
on. You're saying it's like an exhaust valve. It's like a governor that you can let off pressure, let off steam, and that's how it should be.
That's precisely what it is, and our founding fathers allowed for it. And look, the AM radio was the beginning of the left starting to lose its mind over its ability to control the narrative in this country. It wants to create the fairness doctrine, to unring the bell that conservatives would dare have a place to speak. Because at ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, Chicago Tribune, Los Angeles Times are all controlled by people on the left. And so AM radio created a star system by which people like Rush Limbaugh, have 20 million listeners a week, which dwarfs anything on the networks, even probably combined. So he's the real superstar. And Katie Couric and all the other people, Brian Williams, want nothing to do with him. They don't want to acknowledge that he's number one in the media sphere. And they don't want him on the cover of Newsweek. They don't want him on the cover of Time. And when he decides that he wants to try and get an NFL football team, what happens? The organized left is pushed by the mainstream media, wills that to happen. He couldn't get an NFL football team because the same suspects, Media Matters, a leftist organization, and the mainstream media acquiesce to the pressure of these Stalinist, politically correct organizations that don't want AM radio to exist. They don't want Fox News to exist. They have organizations like StopFox.org and that type of stuff. And we accept that premise. It's so utterly un-American, the very premise on which they built their entire enterprise. They're seeking out points of offense where they can take offense that then they can manufacture into major stories around the world, around the country, and then use it as a wedge and or a pressure point with a place like CNN where Dana Loesch is employed as a Tea Party representative. They know they want to get her off the air, just like the same people were the ones that went after Sarah Palin on blood libel. These are the same people that want to marginalize and get us off of the television dial because after years of the Internet, after years of the Swiftboat stories, after years of the Dan Rather story, after years of Wienergate and the Monica Lewinsky story, the new media, the conservative media, has been able to make huge inroads against the left media and the mainstream media, and Media Matters is leading a charge to try and silence those people who have been the victors of this media revolution.
My guest is Andrew Breitbart, Chairman, CEO of the Breitbart sites, Breitbart.com, and Big Journalism, where Dana Loesch is the editor-in-chief. I'm in studio. I'm actually in Los Angeles for the first time in about 3 months. So the call-in number is 800-222-KABC or 800-222-5222. We're going to be taking calls today. By the way, you can pick the show up nationwide on its live stream on Breitbart TV currently. Andrew, let's talk about that's the left. I know they jumped on this, and they jumped on even before Dana. They jumped on our troops. What about the right? I mean, do you see the right that they support? I mean, here's my problem with the right. They run for cover.
Steve, let me just say this. They did this to me on election night in 2010. I was pegged by ABC News to do election night coverage. The left created a group called Color of Change, which was made up of two entities that, to a great extent, I helped to vanquish: Acorn and Van Jones. And they created a front group based upon the premise of kind of being above it all, racial reconciliation. And they created a campaign that sent 100,000 phone calls and emails to ABC News to get me kicked off of ABC News' election night coverage. And guess what ABC News did? They acquiesced. The Color of Change got its way, and the argument of the leftists, the Stalinists, was that the marketplace won, that this is just how the free market works. No, these are Stalinists, and the problem with the conservative movement is, as I sat there as this was happening, nobody comes to your defense.
Right.
So when I found
no air cover.
No, these people are all afraid of the same tactics being used against them. The David Frums, the Meghan McCains, the people that exist comfortably, on the desks at CNN and MSNBC.
You're saying conservatives who are on the payrolls of the mainstream media as useful idiots.
They're used. They pick and choose their battles, but they care more about their airtime and being on there than taking a principled stand. They never will. In fact, the ones that are, like, for instance, Meghan McCain is no David Gergen. Okay, I mean, I can't stand David Gergen.
What do you think of that? My co-host, the Private Equity guy, he's a lefty and he's laughing.
Yeah, well, but why would they allow for Meghan McCain to be on there? It's because she sits there and she says, well, like, I could never vote for Sarah Palin because she's, like, so stupid. She said just the other day, she used the term emoticon in lieu of the term modicum, okay, as she was making fun of a conservative for being stupid, okay? And so why do they keep bringing her back? Because, well, she goes on The View, and she's like, I can't believe how stupid or bigoted these Republicans are.
Hey, let me ask you, when this thing first broke about the troops themselves, did you think that the left immediately, I mean, this is what upsets me. These kids are over there fighting, or young men and women are over there fighting one of the gnarliest wars we've ever had, in the Hindu Kush, where even Alexander the Great could make a go of it, and the British, and yet they jump on these guys right away. How did you respond to that?
They love it. They love it. They fetishize it. First of all, I think that this is these are leftists and not liberals. And I'm one person who wants to go out there and spend the next 30, 40 years of my life to try and draw a distinction between leftists and liberals. Liberals are in the same disposition that the conservatives I just told you about are in, and they're kind of weak-kneed and weak-minded when it comes to dealing with these type of Stalinist propaganda tactics of trying to shut people up, whether it be on the college campus, with speech codes. If you stand up for minority rights or majority rights, whatever it is, and say, wait, we're here at college to air these big ideas out there, and every now and then people are going to, disagree with things, and sometimes it may get contentious. But the political correctness is a push by the left to silence the debate in order to control the debate, and that's what's happening here. And liberals are afraid to stand up to it, and conservatives are afraid to stand up to it because the people who practice these anti-free speech tendencies are just so unbelievably vicious, and you're seeing that right now. This should have been a one-day story. Dana Loesch says something on FM radio in St. Louis.
Hold on, FM talk radio in St. Louis.
FM talk radio in, right. Chitter chatter, drive time radio, chitter chatter. People are talking. People are calling up. One person says, I am so glad that they're going to take these guys to the woodshed. I'm a Marine, and I don't want those guys representing me. And she says, well, you know what? I think that we need to go at these guys are subhuman, and I don't have a problem with it. That's just normal back and forth. But representative of the burden that I've just described, there's a guy by the name of Adam Shriver who goes by the name of St. Louis Activist Hub, who is a graduate student at the University of Washington, who has been so involved in Stalinist anti-free speech behavior from his perch in academia that he's hyper-monitored Dana Loesch for years and has orchestrated a campaign.
Electronic stalker.
And not, well, I'm not going to use that term, but boy, that's as apt as it gets. And he's gone so far as to try to take away business from Dana Loesch's husband, who has a recording studio in St. Louis, and he's found an ally in Media Matters, which is the George Soros, John Podesta-funded organization whose primary role is to find means by which to get Andrew Breitbart, Dana Loesch, or Sarah Palin either toxified and marginalized in civil society or to be toxified, marginalized, or kicked off the air in the mainstream media. And this, not even a one-day story, is being manufactured into a be-all, end-all story where it's now in the London papers. That is because Media Matters, along with Politico and the Huffington Post, have tried to use this comment, this lone comment said on FM talk radio in a local market, St. Louis, as a means to wedge it against her participation as a regular, as an avowed Tea Party talker. They're trying to use this to pressure CNN to get her kicked off, just like what happened to me at ABC.
Yep. My guest has been Andrew Breitbart, Chairman CEO of Breitbart.com and all the big sites. Dana Loesch is Editor-in-Chief of Big Journalism. Andrew, thank you very much. By the way, our headline is, I guess, Andrew Breitbart's going to lead the rapprochement to classic liberals. Is that my takeaway?
They're most of my friends, and I don't even know what distinguishes me. I'm not that political. I'm less what I stand for than I am what I stand against, and this type of totalitarianism and this type of political correctness is so dangerous to what we're actually fighting for in Afghanistan.
Dave Barron, my co-host, is getting all squishy over here, so he's digging it. Okay, Andrew, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy Sunday to, particularly after the heartbreaking defeat of your New Orleans Saints yesterday. We really appreciate it.
If you saw how I watched that on the air, flying in, it wasn't a good picture.
Andrew Breitbart was like, Andrew, thank you very much. Stephen K. Bennett of the Victory Sessions. We'll be right back in 2 minutes after a commercial break.